preliminary examination. My understanding is that we're ready to proceed.
That is correct, Your Honor. The people are ready to proceed at this time.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Any preliminary matters?
Not on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
I do. What did I do at the bar?
Two. Sure.
If you call your witnesses.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would like to call Yaharia Baker to the stand.
You stop right there and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, you can have a seat, ma'am. There is a microphone that's in front of you, and the lady behind you is the court reporter. So she has to take down everything stated here in the courtroom. So we need your voice to be loud and clear. That microphone will not amplify your voice at all. It just allows the system to pick up what you're saying for the recording purposes. But we have 3 fans running, and then this glass is kind of blocking out some of the sound, okay?
Okay.
All of your responses to yes or no questions must be yes or no. You're doing a good job so far. If you forget, because that's common, we'll ask you, is that yes or no, okay?
Okay.
And then lastly, if there's an objection, you will have to stop speaking immediately. I'll make a ruling on the objection, then I'll tell you if you're allowed to give us that answer or not, okay?
Okay.
State your first and last name and spell both.
Yaharia Baker, YAHARIA-BAKER.
You can proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
1 second. I believe you all are free to go. I think they were just waiting to clear. They were just waiting to clear the defendant. He should be.
In the defendant.
Well, they should be alcoholic by now. I'm sure they're hot.
They're out of here.
It's a little hot here. Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right, so it's Yaharia.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I want to make sure I get that right. I believe I pronounced it wrong on the record before you were here. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Can you tell me where you live?
I live at 2315 East Charlie Road, apartment 14.
Okay.
Can you repeat that for me, please?
2315 East Charlie Road, apartment 14.
Thank you.
And is that, how long have you lived there?
Since the start of the year, from January.
Since the start of the year? Okay. And where did you live on September 2nd of 2024?
2731 Traffic Code Trail, apartment 1C.
Okay. And is that in the city of Lansing?
Yes, it is.
State of Michigan?
Yes.
County of Ingham?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And do you recall anything significant happening on that date I just mentioned, September 2nd of 2024?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about how that started?
I had woken up that morning, and I had heard my mom arguing with my sister.
Okay, and what did you do?
I asked my mom, I was like, what's the problem? She told me what the problem was. I had called my sister to try to get the problem solved. She hung up in my face. We had gotten to a mutual fight.
When you say, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you at any point. I just want to make it as clean as possible of a record and make sure I understand and that the judge understands what's happening. So when, I'm so sorry, my train of thought just went out the window.
They have gotten into a mutual fight.
Yeah, when you say mutual fight, thank you, Your Honor. When you say fight, is that verbal?
No, physical.
Okay. And so how did that start?
I called her. She was originally arguing with my mom to kick my boyfriend out because they had claimed that my boyfriend had touched her a while before that.
Okay.
And I had took the phone to my mom and I had told her, and I tried to explain to my sister that never happened because I watched the whole thing happen.
Because I'm struggling to hear you and you're actually answering her questions, but it's for me to hear.
Okay.
So if you could turn this way, it'd be helpful.
I'm sorry. No, that's okay.
Okay, you said there was a mutual fight. She had been arguing with your mom to kick your boyfriend out, and then I missed some things.
She wanted my mom to kick my boyfriend out because she had claimed that my boyfriend had touched her a while before that.
Okay.
After that, I told her, like, I asked her,
I'm gonna go. That's okay, just so it's less awkward for you.
I asked her, like, do you want to fight? She said she wanted to fight. She came to the house and we started fighting. We broke it up. After that day, she left. And then she came back a moment later with Donnie. Donnie came with a gun.
Okay, when you say Donnie, are you referring to the defendant?
Yes.
Can you point to the defendant and describe an article of clothing?
He's wearing a black sweatshirt.
Okay, and do you know his last name?
Season.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, I would like the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Johnny Seaton.
Any objection?
No objection, thank you.
Okay, so you said that he arrived with a gun.
Yes.
What happened after that?
My mom had been outside because they kind of parked like down the street from my apartment, not directly in front.
Okay,
So my mom had walked down there and she tried to talk to him. I don't know exactly what he said, but after that, he had gotten in the car. My sister had drove past my apartment. He has got out the apartment. He has got out the car, pointed the gun towards me in the window while I was in the apartment, and then pointed up in the air and fired the gun.
okay, and how did you react to that?
I was scared,
Okay,
and I called the police.
and let me just get this clear. Was he in the car when he fired the gun?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Like
fine.
he was like hanging out the window, like you know how you just hang out the window.
You need to stop.
Perfect, that makes sense. Okay, so in the car, hanging out the window, fires the gun, and it's pointed at you?
He pointed at me and then he put it in the air and then fired it.
Okay, so it was fired, pointed at the air.
Yes.
Okay, got it, thank you. And that gun, was it out in plain view the whole time, as far as you know, or?
Not when he first came to the house. When he drove past in the car, yes, it was.
Okay, so not when he first came to the house. Where was it when he first came to the house? Do you
It
know?
was either in his pants or his pocket. It looked like it was in his pocket. He had his hands in his pocket.
Okay, and did you physically see him pull the gun out of his pocket, or you just saw a bulge in his pocket with his hand in his pocket?
A
Can you explain?
bulge with his hand in the pocket.
Okay, but you never saw him take it out of his pocket?
No.
Okay, got it. So you just saw it when it was pointed at you,
Mhm.
pointed at the air,
Oh,
and
yes.
Yes.
my
I'm
apologies.
sorry.
And then a bulge in the pocket.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. One moment, Your Honor.
No problem.
How about, if you know, how far away what were you from him hanging out the car when he shot the weapon?
I don't really know. I
Okay.
mean, it wasn't really far where I like had to squint to see him. Like I could see him very clearly. It was
Further than us,
yeah, like probably like to that back row.
to the back row.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea. I'm so bad at that. 10 feet? Is that about right to the back wall?
Yeah.
Okay. Just because the record doesn't necessarily know how far the wall is, that's all. No further questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Speaker, I'd like to ask you just a few questions to tidy up some of your testimony that you just gave us. What did you say the relationship is between Mr. Seaton here and yourself?
We have no relationship. That's my sister's boyfriend.
Your sister? Okay, so you know him.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sister, boyfriend. Did you have any communication with Mr. Seaton on the day we're talking about him?
No,
Without telling me what was said, did you notice as to whether anyone else had telephone contact with him?
what do you mean?
Did you see anybody else talking to him on the phone?
On the same day?
Yeah.
No.
Now I'm only talking about that day.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. You say Mr. Seaton pulled up in a vehicle?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle was it?
A white Chevy Cruze or something like that.
Would you describe it as a four-door passenger vehicle or an SUV or something else?
I'm not good with cars. Just like a little sedan or something like that, like a smaller car.
Did you see him exit the car?
Yes.
And where was the car parked when that happened?
Down the street from my apartment complex.
If you know, is there someone that lives down that way that Mr. Seaton is friends with?
No.
Okay. After he parked his car, did he get out?
My sister brought him. She parked the car. After she parked the car, he got the passenger seat.
So he wasn't driving?
No.
Apparently. Was that your sister's vehicle?
Yes.
Ah, okay, thank you. And the car comes to a stop in a parking spot, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Not in the middle of the street, but in the parking spot.
Yeah, in the parking spot.
And Mr. Seaton gets out of the passenger side, I think you told us.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. And what did you see happen after he got out?
After he got out, my mom had to get outside to go talk to him. I don't know what was said when they were talking, but after that, he had gotten in the car. After they got in the car, my sister proceeded to drive past my apartment. He got out of the car and he started pointing the gun at me, but then he pointed up in the air and he shot.
So this was after your mother had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Seaton.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you don't know what they said, I wouldn't ask you anyway. In any event, so he got back in the vehicle drove a little bit further toward your apartment and stopped again.
And then stopped. It was kind of like, I don't want to say a drive-by, but it was kind of like a drive-by, like they were going slow enough to like, he had enough time to point at me, but he instead for firing at me, he fired at me.
How many shots?
One.
And I think you told us that the gun was pointed up.
Yes.
When the shot was fired, the gun wasn't pointed at you, but.
No.
And then the vehicle continued to leave.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Did you talk to any family members about your testimony here today before you came to the courthouse?
Only my mother, but she's here too.
Yeah. Did the two of you talk about what might happen or what you might say?
Not about what we might say, but we talk about what might happen.
My last question is, you did not suffer any injuries as a result of what happened that day. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that's fair.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything, Matt?
Yes, Your Honor. I just want to clarify a few things. So when you say, I believe that you were asked on cross that the defendant drove up. So I just want to confirm, was the defendant the passenger in the car
Yes, he
throughout the
was.
entire, okay.
Mm.
And who was driving?
My sister.
Okay. And you were also asked about when the defendant exited the vehicle, and I'm just a little bit confused about that timeline. So can you walk me through that a little bit?
After me and my sister.
Whoa.
Sorry, off.
After.
I thought it was thunder. I was like, take cover.
No, it's the table.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Calm down.
So sorry. Can you tell me a little bit about, I believe that you were asked about when he exited. I'm just a bit confused because the shot was fired from the car. So can you walk me through the steps?
After me and my sister had gotten into an altercation, she had left the house. She was still giggling. She came back and parked down the street. She had got out the car. My mom had went down there and talked to him.
Okay.
After that, he got in the car. After that, my sister goes past my apartment, and that's when Donnie got out the window of the car and pointed on at me and shot me in the head.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that. And I just want to clarify, you never left your apartment.
No.
Is that correct? Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. You may be excused.
Thank you.
You can call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. People will call Felicia Baker. Yes, Felicia Baker. I know I said that with a bit of uncertainty.
Raise your right hand.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
You can have a seat. So there's a microphone that's in front of you, and the purpose of that microphone is simply so that the lady behind you can hear what's being stated on the record, but it does not amplify your voice for the rest of the courtroom. So if you can keep your voice loud and clear, that'd be wonderful, because we have a couple of fans going. As you can tell, it's warm in here. And the other thing is, all of your responses to yes or no questions must be yes or no's. We can't really jot down mm-hms and uh-hs or head nods and head shakes, okay?
Yes.
If you forget, we'll remind you or ask you if it's a yes or no. Lastly, if either attorney objects, it requires me to make a decision on whether or not that answer can be given. So you will stop speaking so I can make that ruling, and then I'll tell you if you can give us the response or not, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And state your first and last name and spell both.
Her name is Felicia Baker, and it's spelled Felicia. Last name is B as in boy, Aker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Do you recall anything significant occurring on September 2nd, 2024?
Yes.
Can you tell me where you were that day? Do you know the address?
Yes, 2731 Trappers Cove Trail.
Okay, and where is that to you? Like, what is that address to you?
That was my home.
Okay. And did you live with anybody?
Yes.
Who did you live with?
My husband, Gregoni Baker, my daughter, Yaharia Baker, and her boyfriend, Darian Allen.
Thank you. So can you tell me a little bit about what occurred that day?
I was talking to my fourth daughter on the phone about some events that was taking place. And my youngest daughter came out and saw the text messages on the phone, and they began arguing on the phone about the boyfriends and stuff.
And then what?
Then my fourth daughter, Maya, came over to my house, and Yaharia and Maya got to having an argument and tucking it in the house.
Okay.
And I tried to break it up. And then somehow it transferred outside the house. And then that's when I was outside the house.
Okay, I was gonna say, when did you go outside?
I went outside after my two daughters were cuffling each other, I was trying to tell my youngest daughter to stay in the house and my fourth daughter to go home to her house. And I was outside being, trying to get her to go home.
Okay, so you're saying their scuffle?
Yeah.
Kind of went outside and you followed them?
No, the scuffle stopped out in the house.
Okay,
And then I went outside to my fourth daughter and told her to go home, and my
Got
youngest
it.
daughter remained in the house.
okay, thank you for that. And then what happened next?
Then my youngest daughter boyfriend came out on the porch, and my oldest daughter got upset that he was out on the porch, the front porch of the whole apartment complex. And I'm trying to tell her to go home, go home, go home, and I'm trying to tell him to go back in the house. I'm trying to just de-escalate the situation and go home and go home.
Is that boyfriend the one that lives with you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And did she go home?
No, she went out, went towards the boyfriend and they got to scuffling outside the house. And then they fought just a little bit or here and there, you know, and then my youngest daughter came outside when that started happening, and then I broke it up again and I told her, please go home, go home. She did go home after that.
Okay.
Everybody was in the house and everything happened, you know, was kind of upset about everything that was transpiring. Then I received a call from my daughter. She said that, can I come over and
Can I just clarify which daughter?
Maya?
Okay, and that's the one that does not live with you?
Correct.
The one that you told to go home?
Correct.
Perfect. Keep going.
She came, she texted me, asked me, could she come by? She had lost something, her hair or something. She has alopecia. She was wearing a wig at that time. And I said, you know, sure, you know, that's no problem. I'll meet you outside to help you find that. So her and my youngest daughter Yaharia wouldn't get into another argument or scuffle.
And when she arrived, what happened?
When she arrived, I saw Donnie get out the car, holding something, you know, like in his pocket. And I was standing there and he was like hollering, you know, you gonna beat up my girlfriend, I'm down for mine. You know, and then he what appeared to me like a gun. And that's like, no, you need to put that away. You're not doing this today. You need to just go home. Just go home.
Okay, and when you say Donnie, do you know his last name?
See,
And are you referring to the defendant?
not a friend, just acquaintance with him, with my.
Right, I apologize. I think that I probably didn't speak clear enough. Are you referring to the defendant?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay,
Sorry.
no, you're totally fine. But that answers my next question. So that's good. So you told him that we're not doing this today, and how did he react to that?
He just kept arguing and fussing over me because at that time, my youngest daughter Yaharia and her boyfriend Daria was outside arguing, fussing, and I told him, no, you need to go home. And at that time, my daughter pulled up and he got in the car. And then at that time, I was still standing outside. He fired a shot up in the air. Well, no, take that back. He pointed the gun at the window where my daughter was looking outside the window because I told her, go back in the house. And I said, do not come outside because he got, you know, he has a gun. And he pointed the gun at the window where my daughter was looking out of. And then as they were racing away, he fired a shot in the air.
Okay, and then just for clarification, because there's two daughters present. Who's the daughter in the car?
My fourth daughter, Maya.
Okay, and the daughter that you told to go back in the house?
Yaharia.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And did anything else occur after that?
No, they went on about their business. I called, my youngest daughter called the police.
Okay.
And we just told our story of what had happened.
Okay, and was he in the car when he fired the shot?
He was hanging out the window. He got in the car and had hung out the passenger side window. And as they were driving away, he raised his arm and fired up in the air.
Okay. What kind of car?
It was a white Chevrolet car.
Okay, and about how far away would you say the car was from where you guys were standing?
I guess about maybe 20 or 30 feet. He was right, the way the apartment buildings are is a grassy patchy area between the two apartment areas. So I was saying maybe right before he got to the second set of apartments, that's when he fired up the gun.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Cross-exam.
Yes, Your Honor, no questions. Thank you.
Your Honor, may this witness be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Call your next witness.
The people have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is the defense calling witnesses? Mr. Freeman, are you calling any witnesses?
Not today, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You can proceed to argument.
One moment, Your Honor.
No problem.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. The people are ready to proceed with argument. Today, the defendant is charged with discharging a firearm from a motor vehicle, carrying a concealed weapon, and then a felony firearm. Additionally, the people are seeking to add a felonious assault and subsequently an additional felony firearm after the testimony that was given today. For the discharge of the, let me pull up the charge sheet so that I'm going in order. I have a habit of not doing that. So, count one, the discharging a firearm from a vehicle. The people have to establish, I believe that the people have established is sufficient probable cause. The first element that we had to show is that the defendant did discharge a firearm. We have testimony from both Yaharia and Felicia that the defendant did discharge that firearm. The second element, into the sky, that one shot. Additionally, the second element is that this was done on purpose. The testimony that we heard today does indicate that that was done on purpose, that there was an intentional moving of the firearm to the air and a shot as it was driving, as the car was driving away. The third element is that it was done from a motor vehicle. We heard testimony today, again, from both Yaharia and Felicia, that while the defendant fired the firearm, that he was hanging out of the passenger seat of a white Chevy Cruze as it was driving away slowly. The fourth element is that the firearm was discharged in a way that endangered someone else. I do believe firing a firearm into the air is endangering the people around. We do know that there were people outside at the time as well. As far as the second count of carrying a concealed weapon, the elements include, first, that the defendant knowingly carried a pistol. Obviously, the defendant knowingly carried the pistol if he had pointed it and then fired it. We do have testimony from two witnesses today that appears credible. Both witnesses did testify that the defendant did have a weapon, and that they did see it, that they did see something that resembled a weapon in the pocket before the weapon was pulled out. The second element is that it was concealed on the person of the defendant. Of course, we have the two witnesses who saw the bulge in the pocket beforehand of the defendant. So we do believe that that establishes probable cause. And then I need the elements for the added charge, which would be, because count 3 is a misdemeanor. Count 4 is a felony firearm. So of course the defendant, when committing the discharge from the vehicle, did have a firearm, so that would be the felony firearm.
What are you requesting to add?
Felonious assault.
Oh.
I'm just struggling to pull up the 17.9 element, but I'm gonna have them in 2 seconds. Okay. So the charge that we wish to add is count 5 of assault with a dangerous weapon. The first element of that is that the defendant either attempted to commit a battery on, this would be Yaharia Baker, or did an act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend an immediate battery. We believe that this occurred when the gun was pointed in Yaharia's direction. The second element of assault with a dangerous weapon is that the defendant intended either to injure Yaharia Baker or to make Yaharia Baker reasonably fear an immediate battery. We do believe that people have established probable cause for this because when the defendant pointed the gun at Yaharia Baker, that would cause a reasonable person to fear an immediate battery. The third element is that at the time the defendant had the ability to commit a battery, appeared to have the ability, or thought that he had the ability with a firearm in hand, that satisfies that element as far as the probable cause standard goes. And the fourth element that the people have to satisfy is that the defendant committed the assault with a dangerous weapon in this case being a firearm. And then additionally, there would be a count 6 added here. That would be an additional felony firearm for the felonious assault. So all that being said, Your Honor, people would request that all of these charges be bound over to circuit court. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman.
Your Honor, I regret to inform the court, I don't have my copy of the complaint with me. May I just inquire of the court as to whether the CCW is a vehicle or? In a vehicle. All right, thank you. The only objection I bring to the court's attention is that the defendant is, at the start of this hearing, is charged with brandishing in public. We heard some testimony from the first witness that would suggest she testified that the gun was pointed at her, and the prosecutor picked up on that and wants to now add a count of felonious assault. I'm not really going to object to the addition of the felonious assault, but I think that at the same time causes us to disregard the brandishing in public. I don't think I think they're one and the same. She felt endangered. She felt concerned for her welfare because of this, I guess, pointing a firearm at her. Well, that's, before we started the hearing, that was brandishing. So I think that the brandishing needs to be dismissed if the people continue to want to add felonious assault based on the facts that we heard today. Thank you.
Okay, so today was the date scheduled for preliminary examination. It's the burden of the prosecutor to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that the felonies that were committed were actually committed, and then sufficient probable cause to charge you as the person to have committed those felonies. This is not a trial. They don't have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. We are not addressing misdemeanors at this matter, only the felonies. And then the burden is more than mere suspicion that these crimes were committed. You were charged in count 1 with weapons, firearms discharged from a vehicle, and the prosecutor did go over those elements. Again, the elements being that the defendant did discharge a firearm from a motor vehicle. Second, that he did so intentionally, that means on purpose. And that third element, again, that it was from a motor vehicle. Fourth, that he discharged the firearm in a way that endangered someone else, caused physical injury, or caused serious impairment to a bodily function, or caused death. And so in this particular case, we've had testimony first from a Yaharia Baker, and then second from a Felicia Baker. Their testimonies are quite consistent with one another. But again, understanding Ms. Yaharia Baker, being the alleged victim in here, in this particular case, stated that on or about September 22nd, oh no, September 2nd, that is 2024, at the area of 2731 Trappers Cove, that's in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan. That makes venue in this court appropriate. She identified the defendant in this matter, Donnie Seaton. Through testimony, it's understood Mr. Seaton to be the boyfriend of Ms. Baker's sister. Ms. Baker, Yaharia Baker, that is, testified that she woke up on that date and time, and she woke up to her mom arguing with her sister. The basis of the argument having to do with Mr. Seaton needing or them wanting to have Mr. Seaton. No, my apologies. The argument was about Miss Baker's boyfriend wanting to kick her boyfriend out the house. The court's not aware of that boyfriend's name. Nonetheless, mom arguing to kick boyfriend out the house because of the claim that that boyfriend, who's unnamed, allegedly touched the sister of Miss Baker at some time previously. Miss Baker, Yaharia Baker, and her sister engaged in a mutual, well, it sounds like a phone conversation, and then she was invited to engage in a mutual fight, to which the sister showed up for two sisters to fight. And then the sister left. And then it's sometime later, the testimony is that the sister returned, this time with her boyfriend, that boyfriend being Donnie Seaton, and that Mr. Seaton made some comments, and the comments, or the nature of those comments, were brought in through testimony by Felicia Baker, something to the effect that you're gonna beat my girlfriend up, I be down for mine, and that he discharged a weapon. That was testimony consistent between both, or that he pulled out a weapon, I should say. That was consistent between both Felicia and Yaharia Baker, that there was a weapon displayed, or an item that resembled a weapon, a firearm, that being pulled out of the vehicle. It's my understanding that Mr. Seaton was a passenger, but maybe at some point switched, but the car was moving and it slowed down. He fired the weapon in the air after pointing the firearm at Yaharia, defendant driving or in the vehicle of a white Chevy Cruze. There's sufficient probable cause as to the elements that was read for weapons, firearms, discharge. And so that will be bound over to the circuit court. Again, the elements for carrying concealed weapon in a vehicle requires that the people prove beyond a reasonable doubt at trial, first, that the pistol was in the vehicle that the defendant was in. Second, that the defendant knew the pistol was there. Third, that the defendant took part in carrying and keeping the pistol in the vehicle. Again, the testimony is that the defendant pulled up in a passenger side of a white Chevy Cruze, which is a vehicle, and that he had or possessed a firearm, a pistol in his hand. And obviously, based on that, the court can ascertain that he took part in keeping or carrying that pistol in the vehicle. There's sufficient probable cause as to count 2, carrying concealed weapon, that will be bound over to the circuit court. Count 4, weapons, felony, firearm, based on the allegation that the defendant possessed a firearm when he had committed or attempted to commit, in this case, the charge of discharge from a vehicle. And so that there's sufficient probable cause based on the testimony to bind over count 4. People are asking to add a count 5, felonious assault or assault with a dangerous weapon. Mr. Freeman argues that to add the felonious assault, it somehow contradicts the brandishing. Whether or not that's true, the court's not going to even get into that, because I don't have to address misdemeanors at a preliminary examination. But based on the testimony, which is that the defendant appeared with a firearm, made some statements that he be down for his, and then pulled out a firearm and pointed it at the alleged victim, there's sufficient probable cause as to the elements. First, that the defendant attempted or or committed a battery upon Yaharia Baker, and that he did the act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend immediate battery. Someone pulls up to my house and pulls out a firearm and says, I beat up their girlfriend and they are down for theirs, I would assume that they're here to shoot me. So I would fear or immediate battery. So that element is satisfied. Second, that the defendant intended to injure the complainant, that being Yaharia Baker, or make the complainant reasonably fear an immediate battery. I don't believe, based on the testimony, that he intended to injure Ms. Baker, but I do believe he intended to make her fear an immediate battery. Why else would you show up after allegedly there being a fight that his girlfriend must have gotten beat up, if that's the statement he made, with a firearm to her sister's home, but for the fact to instill some fear. Third, that the defendant had the ability to commit the battery or appeared to have the ability or thought he had the ability. I think based on the testimony, all of those are relevant and present in these facts. Fourth, that the defendant committed an assault with a dangerous weapon. It's undisputed that a pistol is a dangerous weapon. The request to add count 5 of assault with a dangerous weapon is granted, and that will be bound over to the circuit court. So the complaint with 5 counts will be bound over to the circuit court. Bind over date is May
Your Honor.
28th.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. There was also a 6th count felony firearm.
I'm sorry, the felony firearm to accompany the assault with a dangerous weapon will be added based on the testimony. Those 6 counts will be bound over to the circuit court. The bind over date is going to be May 28th. You, Mr. Seaton, do not have an appearance date on May 28th. That's the date the circuit court gets the file from the district court, okay? Do you have any questions? Any additional matters for the record?
On behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Nothing further.
Bond will continue as well as a no contact order. You're all set.
Thank you.
You're all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.